Welcome to the Savvy Investor, where it's our job to help you thrive in any economy. Social Security. It seems simple. I work, I contribute, I retire, I collect. Simple, right? Well, perhaps not. With over 500 options on how and when to collect, it's not simple at all.
Welcome to The Savvy Investor. Each week, The Savvy Investor helps viewers just like you create and grow wealth, protect and preserve it, and distribute it in the most tax-efficient manner while alive and after you have passed. Our goal is to make you a better informed investor that hopefully leads to better results, but certainly less risk along the way. You can have financial security in any economy. Today is the day you can take control of your financial future and eliminate worry about your retirement forever. And now, The Savvy Investor with your host, Michael Canet.
On today's show, we're going to be discussing the ins and outs of Social Security and the information you, the Savvy Investor, need to know before you start collecting your benefits. When FDR signed the Social Security Act into place in 1935, his hope was to help retirees stay out of poverty. Now here it is, 80 years later, and Social Security has clearly become one of the most important parts of most retirees' income plans. Many people have questions, and they want to know if Social Security is going to be there when they're ready to retire. It's expected that in 2033, Social Security will only be able to pay 77 cents for each dollar. Do you think that's enough to retire? Do you think that's enough to live on? When should you take Social Security? Age 62, 65, 70, perhaps even age 60. What about benefits to your spouse or your ex-spouse? Will it be enough? Or are you going to have to supplement your income? We asked Americans on the street to join us in this conversation, and here's what they had to say in our Man on the Street with Mike Macho.
Mike, we're out on the street asking people about Social Security. Come on. For our kids, for our grandkids, do you guys feel that Social Security will be here in 20, 30 years?
No, I don't think so.
I think it'll be here for my lifetime, but 20 or 30 years, I don't know.
No, I can't trust the government and them lending money to other programs. I mean, basically there's not a lot of money left in Social Security.
I think so, if they take a deep look at revising it.
I think you probably got 20 years left, and I think they're going to have to retain some kind of system, but I think it's going to have to change.
Well, as you heard, Mike, not a lot of people have confidence in Social Security, but what we did learn is that people are going to take advantage of it while it's here. I'm Mike Macho, and this is Man on the Street.
Thanks, Mike. It's always interesting to hear what people think about Social Security, and clearly it seems people have more questions than answers. And while Social Security is a big and well-deserved part of retirement, my biggest piece of advice is to not rely solely on this income. You should have a retirement plan that also includes pensions and investments. We're going to take a quick break here, but when we return, we're going to sit down with Alicia Lipscomb, she works for Social Security, and she's going to give us all the information you need to know. You don't want to miss this? We'll be right back.
If you would like to receive your free and personalized Social Security income report, call the number you see on your screen. Interested in learning more about planning for your financial future? Join Michael Canet, host of The Savvy Investor and best-selling author, in person for an important life-changing financial workshop on the following dates, and start taking control of your future. If you are ready to discover the financial tools and strategies that can help you build the retirement of your dreams, just call 1-800-787-SAVVY today to reserve your spot.
Most of us understand that planning is the key to retiring with the resources and benefits you need. Most of us also don't think about what would happen if a significant portion of these resources were taken away from us before we reached our goals. This can happen through a bad investment, a lawsuit, or even unintended expenses.
As the nation's leading asset protection attorney, this is the area in which I work, to protect the assets you've worked so hard to create so that they're there for you when you need them.
Call us today for a free strategy session at 800-787-SAVVY. It's not too late to start protecting your assets right away. 800-787-SAVVY.
I'm your host, Michael Canet. If you missed anything, you're just tuning in, we're having a conversation about Social Security. It's important to understand which options you have available to you and really which is the best solution for you. Many advisors will recommend that you wait as long as you can to withdraw benefits, but sometimes that's just not possible, and sometimes, quite frankly, it doesn't make sense. To explain more, we have Alicia Lipscomb with us. She's a public affairs specialist with the Social Security Administration. Alicia, welcome to the Savvy Investor.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for having us.
So, Social Security really can be confusing, and before we get into the idea of what options we have to collect Social Security, let's just talk a little bit about some of the basics. I think people don't really know the origins of it.
Right.
So tell us a little bit how Social Security came to be and the purpose of it.
Okay. Well, Social Security came to be, it was signed into law in 1935. As some people remember, it was during the Great Depression. So the whole purpose of it was to create an automatic savings plan for the elderly and the disabled. So they put together a plan where individuals from their wages taxes would be automatically taken out of them and placed into a holding account in a way, or the trust fund as people know it. And from there, when they reach a certain age, they would be eligible for a benefit. It's actually an insurance program, and people are not aware. We're actually the world's largest insurance program. So that's sort of how it came to be, and it's evolved over the years. For example, Medicare was signed into law in 1965, the addition of spousal benefits and survivor benefits. And so it's changed as society has changed.
So designed to help retirees, I mean, seniors going into retirement. And, one of the things that a lot of seniors have concerns about, and we see it in the news all the time, Social Security is going to be bankrupt, robbing the trust fund and stuff like that. Let's talk a little bit about the longevity, how many more years Social Security in theory is fully funded, and then are there some things in the works to try to fix this?
Okay, right now with Social Security, our estimated trust fund right now, our trustees report will be coming out again. It's around 2030 to 2033, depending on the numbers. Basically how Social Security works is current taxpayers, the funds that are being taken out to pay for the Social Security, it goes directly toward the beneficiaries. So as long as there's individuals working, there will be funds distributed out to beneficiaries. If we do not make any changes, right now we're predicted, I believe it's 2030 to 2033. I apologize, I can't really remember today.
And I think it changes.
It does change every year. We'll be able to pay out about approximately 78% of benefits. Right now we can't comment regarding any changes. If people do have concerns about that, we do ask them to speak to their local congressional representation or senatorial representation about their concerns with Social Security. But right now we are able to pay 100% of benefits, and we have never missed a benefit in all our years of history.
And that's the nice thing about basically an annuity payment. I mean, that's what it turns out to be.
It is in one way, yes, it is.
So if people want to find out, it used to be you got a statement every
True,
year.
yes,
I mean, 3 months before your birthday, you got a statement. And for the most part, you don't get that anymore.
Right.
So
what we decided to do 2 years ago, we were doing some cost analysis, and we looked at people are using the internet more, and what can we provide better customer service to our beneficiaries is through a new web portal called My Social Security. And you go to the website, it's right there on our main page at socialsecurity.gov. You log on, and from there you have access to your statement 24/7. You can print it, you can save it, and we even send you an email reminder 3 months before your birthday saying, hey, come and read your statement, which is a good basic planning tool, especially if you're getting within 10 years of retirement, to remind you about where you stand with Social Security.
That you have enough quarters in.
Right, absolutely.
So I think one of the things I've heard is that people are nervous when they go on because you need to verify who they are.
Right. So we do use, just to let your clients know, we do use Experian as a third-level security. We do ask what are called out-of-pocket questions. So you may get a question asking about, did you purchase a home in 1982 at this location? And that's when we want to verify who you say is who you are, basically.
Well, because if somebody got in there and got actually the Social Security information, all of a sudden identity theft is just, it's deadly that way. And we know how dangerous identity theft is.
It is very dangerous, and that's why they put those security measures in place. And if a person doesn't feel comfortable doing it at home, they actually can come into a local office, present their ID. We begin the registration process for them. They'll receive a letter in the mail at their home within 5 to 7 business days where they get a confirmation code. It's specifically for that individual, and they can go on and initiate the rest of their account.
Now, are there certain provisions or certain ways that individuals can still get a paper copy instead of going online?
Actually, a month ago, we've decided, Social Security did decide to send out Social Security statements every 5 years now.
Okay.
So starting at individual age 25, you'll start getting it every 5-year increment. But the key part is if you need your information now to create your account, and then you can access it 24/7, we do advise you, if you're married, to sit down and look at each other's statements, because it's very important to know each other's situation in terms of Social Security.
And I think you need to look at it, every year anyways, just to verify that the income was credited correctly.
Yeah, the wages are correct, because it's easier to correct it now versus when you come in and file for benefits 15 years later and you're searching for your W-2 from 1978.
Right. Good luck with that.
Yeah,
Good luck with that.
It's not easy.
For somebody collecting Social Security, when do they start the process?
The earliest point to contact us to start benefits is 3 months before the month you want to start to receive benefits.
We're going to take a break, but when we return, we're going to continue our conversation with Alicia. And really where we're going to go here is, I want to know, there's so many different options on how to elect. Do I take my spouse's benefit? Do I take mine? Do I take it at 62? Do I wait to 70? We're going to discuss that when we come back. You're watching The Savvy Investor, and we'll be right back.
If you would like to receive your free and personalized Social Security income report, call the number you see on your screen. Interested in learning more about planning for your financial future? Join Michael Canet, host of The Savvy Investor and best-selling author, in person for an important life-changing financial workshop on the following dates, and start taking control of your future. If you are ready to discover the financial tools and strategies that can help you build the retirement of your dreams, just call 1-800-787-SAVVY today to reserve your spot.
Now keep in mind that just like any tool, there's the right tool for the right job and a wrong tool for the wrong job. We've just scratched the surface here, and you'll want to know more about how today's conversation might or might not fit your needs. Ask about fees, surrender charges, market risk, interest rate risks, how the guarantees work, liquidity, and much more. Remember, the right tool for the right job.
Welcome back to The Savvy Investor. I'm your host, Michael Canet. I'm having a conversation today with Alicia Lipscomb from Social Security Administration. And when we left, we were discussing all the different things we need to know about when to elect, how to get information. And we're going to have a conversation now about the options we have, 62, 65, file and suspend, all those things. Before we go there, though, I do have some viewer emails that I want us to address.
Okay, great.
From Mary in Indianapolis, she says, she asks, is she entitled to benefits if her husband's passed away? How does that work?
Well, those are called survivor benefits, also known as widow or widower benefits. She would potentially be entitled. We have to look at her earnings record in comparison to her spouse's. The earliest point a widow or widower can receive benefits is at age 60. And if you do take your benefits at age 60, you're only entitled to 71.5% of the deceased beneficiary's benefit for the rest of your life.
So she would be entitled to 71% of his.
Right.
Now, she could still wait to elect hers till later if hers turns out to be greater.
Right, and that's why it's very important, if you know that you are a widow or widower, contact us about 2 years before you want to start to receive benefits so we can provide the options to you. But your benefit as you grow, as you go into the future, and your current spousal benefit, or excuse me, widow or widower's benefit. One key factor to remember, though, if you are still working and you're under your full retirement age, it will directly affect any type of benefit you receive from Social Security.
So you still have that payback provision?
You do technically have that payback provision where within 1 year, if you do elect to choose to receive benefits, you have the right to withdraw your application. You have to pay everything back in full to Social Security. We do not charge interest, though, which is nice. You pay it back to us, and we act as if your application never existed. But you're only allowed to do that once in your lifetime within 1 year of filing your application.
Perfect. Now, our second question is from Joseph in Bellevue, Washington. He says he loves his job, but he also wants to collect benefits. Oh, this speaks exactly to this. Can I work and still receive benefits?
The answer is yes, but it depends how old you are, and that's the key part. Everybody is eligible for 100% of their benefit at full retirement age, and that's based on what year you're born. Our core baby boomer group, is between 1940 through 1954. Their full retirement age is age 66. The month you turn your full retirement age, you can continue working, and it does not affect your benefit. But anytime before then, it will directly affect your benefit. For example, this year, if you earn more than $15,480 and you're under your full retirement age, for every $2 you go over $15,480, we will withhold $1 of your benefits.
And that's broken up on a monthly basis, right?
We can do monthly or yearly, depending what is more advantageous for the individual.
Right, and if you're retiring and you work 3 months and then you elected, those first 3 months of working don't count
They do
towards
not-
that 15.
They do not count because
Right.
what we're looking at is the point that you started to receive benefits.
Right.
And if you're going to continue to work after, because you told us you were retired.
Right.
So we have to take a look at that. And those numbers do change year to year. So we do encourage individuals to sign up for our email updates so you know when these numbers do change. And that number is called the annual earnings test is what it's called.
And it does change every year.
It does change every year. In October, we release the numbers.
And another factor that we didn't really talk about is, people are always amazed, when we're talking to people on the street and doing interviews, people are always amazed. They always thought Social Security is not supposed to be taxable.
It is taxable per IRS rules. It's considered normal, ordinary income. And
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
It throws people off. My own father, it happened to my own father, so I can vouch for that.
And Ronald Reagan made 50% of it taxable, and Bill Clinton added on and made 35% more taxable. But it's a calculation. It may or may not be taxable. It depends on the rest of your income.
Right, up to 85% of your benefit may be taxable. That's why we do advise individuals to speak to IRS or speak to a professional concerning your taxes and what strategy you want to take, because we cannot give tax advice. We're Social Security. But if you do need voluntary tax withholding, you can send in your W-4 and we can do that process for you.
Right. So now let's talk about, I think, the most confusing part of it. Do I take it at 62? Do I take it at my full retirement age? We'll use 66.
Okay.
Do I take it at 70? What's the implication of each of those things?
Okay.
And what about my spouse, the whole file and suspend?
Okay, so let's first talk about an individual. It's a personal decision, number one. When every day in our offices somebody is asking one of our employees, what should I do? And our answer is, we can't tell you because it's a personal decision. We are objective, we just provide the information. You ultimately tell us what you choose to do. If you choose to take your benefits at 62, you're only eligible for 75% of your benefit. You remain locked into that amount for the rest of your life, and that's a big misconception people have about Social Security. Every single month you choose to wait to receive your benefits up to your full retirement age, the reduction gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
So for those of us who are in the financial industry and financial planners like to flip that around a little bit and say your benefit grows and grows and grows.
Right. That's a good way of putting it too. That's the opposite. We focus on reduction months is when we look at it. And you wait till your full retirement age, you get 100% of your benefit. Say, for example, some people still think full retirement is 65 because that's what their parents had. Well, at 65, if somebody were to take a benefit, it's 93.3%, just to let you know. And some people look at their numbers. We advise you look at your financial situation, your health, your income, what's coming in, because you have to make a decision that's best for you.
And you're right. The factors really are, my life expectancy, longevity in my family, what's my other income sources. Yeah, you're right. It's not just a simple thing to do, and you really should sit down with somebody to have that conversation.
You should have a conversation, speak to your spouse, and just look at your situation and be honest about it. And then another option people look at, well, I'm living longer, I'm working longer, what are my options? So at Social Security, for every single year you wait between your full retirement age up to age 70, we give you an 8% bonus. And those are called delayed retirement credits, or DRCs, if you hear that term.
And we call that an 8% return.
8% return, okay.
Yes,
So it's interesting, our terminology versus your terminology.
Yes.
And individuals who are working do like that option because they're increasing their benefit. A lot of us are living longer. For example, the average life expectancy of a man back in 1935 was 58.
Right. Well, and I joke around that when Roosevelt came up with Social Security, the general population was supposed to have the common courtesy and pass away before they actually collected.
Right.
And certainly not collect for 30 years. Let me ask you a question about, let's say you are 66 and you've decided to collect, and you continue working. What impact do those additional earning years have on the Social Security calculation?
That's a very common question we get because a lot of us are still continuing to work. Well, what happens is Social Security, we take your highest 35 years of work to determine your monthly benefit. So every year, once we get your wage information, we do an automatic computation. It's called an arrow. So if anybody uses that term arrow, they know what they're talking about. We redo your calculation. So for example, you file for benefits at 66, you're now 67, kept on working, and the amount you earned in 2015 is greater than what you earned in 1982. We drop 1982's number, we insert 2015 in, we redo your calculation. And we are inflation based, so we do adjust for that. The key part is a lot of people assume it's going to be a lot bigger, but it's actually just a small little increase. But we'll send you a notice about that, usually in August or September, letting you know, hey, we've redid your computation and this is your increase.
Conversely, can it hurt you if you make substantially less?
No, there's that whole argument about that because we've already set your benefit from what it is from
Right.
the top 35 years of work. But any additional earnings you add into your computation will always help you out in the long run.
Can't hurt you. Can't reduce your benefit.
Can't reduce your benefit.
All right, we have a couple minutes left, and I want to talk about file and suspend.
Okay.
I mean, that's a big topic, and every time I open up a newspaper, every time I listen to somebody on the radio, somebody's talking about the benefits of filing and suspend, and it's not as simple as they make it sound.
Right. The key part is there's a lot of misconceptions about it. And the most important thing, if a person has to be at full retirement age, I call it freedom age, that's what I call it personally, where a person has options to exercise what they choose to do. So for example, we have John Smith contact us. He's 66 this year. He has the option at full retirement age at 66 to choose to contact us, file for his benefit, and then choose to suspend it. But the key part is he has to be 66, never received a benefit from us before. And so he can choose to do that in order to have his spouse, Mary, who's 63, to file and receive a portion of his spousal benefit. Well, he can sit there and let his grow and grow and grow, then he can switch to his at 70 and get 132%.
Right, so he gets that raise, lets his grow. His spouse can collect a portion of his, but that measurement is also very structured, right? Because it's not just I get a portion of his. We have to take into consideration what hers would have been.
Right, and they'll take a look at that. The reason why they have to take a look at that is because she's under her full retirement age. That is called deemed filing. Anytime you file for a benefit under full retirement age, we have to look at your options. What can you get the greater of? And if her benefit is greater than 50% of his at his full retirement age amount, by law she has to take her own benefit. She can't opt in and out. But if she was at full retirement age, she would be given an option of what she chooses to do.
Because then she could take 50% of his, wait on hers and let hers continue to grow, and at age 70 she could take 100% of hers.
132%.
Well, 132%.
Absolutely, it's absolutely correct. And so there are some options there, and it's very important that people visit our website at socialsecurity.gov, because there on the spousal page we do talk about file and suspend and restriction of an application. Let's go back to John. He's 66. His wife is also 66, and she elected to receive, she's older than him, for example. Let's say she's 68. She started to receive her benefit at 66 and started to receive 100% of her benefit. John can come in at 66, choose to file for his own benefit, suspend it, and then restrict his application to spousal benefits only. So because he's 66, he will receive 50% of hers. While Mary keeps on receiving her 100%, then at any point, even if he wants to come in the next month, he can switch to his.
Right. So one of the things you mentioned was 1935, that life expectancy was 58 years old. How do you guys measure that now? What's life expectancy now?
Life expectancy on average for a male, because I referenced that back in 1935, is about 79 to 78 right now. And back in 1935 for a woman it was 62, but many of us have female relatives who are living into the mid-80s.
Well, and I think statistically, if you're married, there's a 25% chance at least one of you makes it to age 92. It's remarkable.
It's remarkable the changes that modern medicine has given us to live longer. And so that's a factor that people need to take in consideration when talking about Social Security.
Certainly.
Definitely.
And that goes hand in hand with longevity is the whole idea of inflation. It's going to cost me more 30 years or 20 years from now than it does now. How does Social Security adjust for inflation? What do they use?
Well, what we do is every year we take from the third quarter, the Bureau of Labor Statistics comes out with the inflation rate. It's based only on the third quarter of the Consumer Price Index. So based on that statistic is how Social Security determines whether or not there's going to be a cost of living increase, also known as a COLA increase. Many individuals get their notice about that in November, and last year our cost of living increase was 1.5%.
And the thing that I always find interesting is, one, it seems that for most retirees, Medicare eats up a significant portion of that 1.5%, so they don't actually see a whole lot in their pocket. But the disturbing part about the way inflation is calculated, and this isn't Social Security who does this, but the way inflation is calculated is they don't take into account fuel and food, which of course is, two of the primary things we as consumers spend money on.
Right.
Great conversation today. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
When we return, we're going to do our 3 takeaways for today. You're watching The Savvy Investor, and we'll be right back.
If you have questions, drop us a line. Each week, our experts will address viewer mail, and you can email us your questions or go to our website, thesavvyinvestortv.com, and click on Contact Us.
Want to lower your taxes by as much as 25% this year? If you think Uncle Sam is taking too much of your hard-earned money, it's time you did something about it. Our specialists and attorneys have over 100 years of experience helping hardworking retirees just like you. For a limited time, we're giving $99 income tax preparation appointments to everyone who calls and mentions this offer. Our licensed team of professionals can help assist you with sound tax planning, financial planning, and investment management. Taxes are too important to let just anyone prepare your returns.
Call ProStatus at 800-787-SAVVY or visit ProStatusFinancial.com to ensure you get all you've earned.
Today we were joined by Alicia Lipscomb from the Social Security Administration. She gave us an easy-to-understand explanation on Social Security and left us with 3 main takeaways. First, Social Security is guaranteed income, but it's not going to be enough to live on, so you need to have other sources, including pensions and/or investments. Number 2, understand your options. With over 500 choices out there, you need to sit down with a professional to figure out what's the best choice for you. And finally, in 2033, Social Security will only be able to pay 77 cents on every dollar owed. Make sure you have other sources of income so that you can have the retirement you've always imagined and that you deserve. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you, the Savvy Investor, next week.
If you would like to receive your free and personalized Social Security income report, call the number you see on your screen. Every retiree's goal from our perspective is to take the least amount of risk possible to accomplish your goals. Too often, financial advisors and stockbrokers assess your risk tolerance. Just because you can tolerate the risk doesn't mean you have to accept it. Remember, at the end of the day, it isn't how much you make, it is how much you keep. If you would like more information about today's topic, you can contact our offices or visit us on the web at thesavvyinvestortv.com. When you visit our website, sign up for our free weekly newsletter where we give you tidbits each week to help you make smart money choices.